What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Great Northeast BJJ podcast, Saturday night, 4th edition of the BJJ All-Stars. The first one we did was kind of a crazy experiment, and it made me feel so much better about my life because I was feeling pretty bad before we did it, that we've been doing it every week, so with different people. So I don't know what the Riddler is showing us. He's showing us on live.
You are live, guys.
We got a couple more people coming, but I'll introduce you guys, and then as they come in, we'll talk to those fools. But welcome you guys to the podcast. Some guys are returning, and some guys it's the first time. My brother Greg Wood from Plainville Martial Arts in Connecticut. Welcome. Steve Austin from Sion BJJ in Pennsylvania. Welcome, brother. And BRYANT PANGELINAN. How do you say your last name, Bryant?
PANGELINAN.
Pangelinan.
There it is.
My friend Bryant from Sabre Jiu-Jitsu, all the way from the Golden Gate Bridge in California. What's up, brother?
How are you guys?
Good.
Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to see you, brother.
Seeing you again.
And last but not least, my friend Jay Mansfield, sporting a new haircut.
Okay.
Lift that camera up. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
What up, Jay?
Oof.
What's up, Brian? How you doing, brother?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. Great view you have over the Golden Gate there.
You like that?
I mean, I prefer mine.
Yours is nice. Yours is nice.
What's up, Dark Nightbird? Steve Austin.
Hey, man.
What's going on, man? Great
Steve, nice
Northeast
to meet
crew.
you.
What's going on, guys?
Not much.
It's chilling, brother. How you doing?
I'm starting to go crazy. Like, I feel like I'm not even lying. Like, like everyone's like, oh, I'm going crazy. Like, it's weird. Like, I think I'm starting to lose my mind. Like, I'm doing things during the day. My body's just kind of doing it. Brain's thinking about other stuff. Like, I got a green mohawk. I'm figuring out weird stuff to do with my time. If I don't choke somebody or get choked, I don't care which. Make it happen. Just make it.
Hey, what's up to my friend Kevin Watson joining us from my hometown, Kevin Watson Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Dover, New Hampshire.
My first time doing this. Thanks for having me.
Nice.
Dude,
Professor Watson, what's happening, brother?
Hey, it's nice to meet you guys.
Seeing you.
Kevin, how you doing, man?
Hanging in there, man. Going a little bit stir crazy. Not being able to feel another person's pressure on top of me. Trying to twist somebody else's foot and pull somebody else's arm off their socket. Hey, Jay. It's nice to finally meet you. I like your mohawk.
Thanks, man. I was just telling these guys I'm going a little bit crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Man,
Steve Austin, what have you been up to, man? What have you been doing during the quarantine besides drinking margaritas?
It's my whole new thing, like a drink every day kind of thing, just to cheers everyone, get through it. But as long as I do more push-ups than alcohol consumption, I'm okay.
is that a 1-for-1 thing?
What's that?
Like one drink per push-up?
I don't know how I'm doing the ratio yet. So
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
as long as I'm doing push-ups every morning, I can drink at night. That's how I look at it.
Right. I like it.
No, but honestly, like house projects, different things, doing some filming for the guys at the school, just keeping some kind of form of schedule so I don't go stir crazy. But I do miss the physical contact and like just training itself. So the stir crazy is everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you, man, I've been really, obviously up until now and but over the last 6 months or so, you've been posting a lot of technique videos. And obviously, like the more sportier stuff, like the gi chokes and stuff is cool. Like all of us jiu-jitsu geeks love it. But a lot of that self-defense stuff is really awesome, man. I love that you're sharing that stuff. That's cool. It shows the other side of the art.
Honestly, that's why I got into jiu-jitsu at first, because of the self-application. And then you get kind of like, sucked into the sport realm, and it was like, oh, well, this is our thing. We're competing. And then everybody forgets what it's like to be in a real fight,
Yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Hey, Steve, you remember you remember coming over to my house and hanging out in the garage?
Yeah.
Where were you going? Like, how did you end up? How did I talk you into coming and hanging out in my garage with me and doing a podcast?
I was doing a couple seminars up that way, and you hit me up. You're like, "Oh, you wanna come train, spend a night in the garage, and talk some jiu-jitsu?" And fuck, why not?
I get everybody that way, man.
Do some karate in the garage.
Not a party.
Brian,
Have you
what
guys all
are you doing up in California?
Just doing projects like these other guys. Like there's a lot of stuff with it around the house. I ride bikes, so a lot of bike projects, stuff with my truck, my dogs. So just whatever I can do to stay busy. That's about it. Other than that, it's been a rough couple of months for me. My dad passed away in January, so it's like, you know, to go from one tragedy to then all of a sudden now we're in a crisis situation. I'm like, man, kind of just catch a break. But, you know, we're doing our best, but I'm doing okay. And, you know, my team's still supporting us and everything's good.
Awesome.
Sorry to hear about that.
Glad to hear that. Obviously, all the love to you. I didn't know your dad, but like for everything that you post, you seem like a direct reflection of that guy.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, my dad was a great man. He was a great man.
And it's true. Like 2020 has been rough. I lost my best friend last month, and you know we're dealing with all this stuff. It's not a great start, but you know,
Yeah.
We just got to put the pedal to the metal, and you know, hard work overrules all, and we'll kind of do this thing and get back on track, and you know, honor those folks, and you know, show them what we can do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I see, like, you know, tragedy can lead you into better things, and that's how I got to stay optimistic. I got to look at this whole thing between my dad's passing and this whole thing going on with, you know, all of us losing our schools in a way, and, you know, the day-to-day interaction, training. Like, there's got to be an end to it, and there's going to be something at the end of it, I believe, that's going to be even greater. So,
can you imagine the hunger of people to get back on the mat when whoever it is says, okay, you guys can go?
Don't you think there's going to be some guys
insane.
gun shy?
it's going to be crazy.
Do you think you'll have some guys like gun shy to get in there and train?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have a pretty big team with a lot of affiliates, and quite honestly, like a couple of the leaders of my team, we're all talking about how we're probably gonna do some sort of like filtering of maybe, you know, a certain number of people in a class, and, you know, making sure there's no cross training outside of the team and affiliation, just to keep it, you know, within the family for a little bit, just to kind of test the waters. Because I think if we all just jump in like a battle royale, it's gonna get crazy again.
Yeah, one idea I had was have people have designated partners. Like U4 are only allowed to work with U4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're always going to be in the same part of the room if the room's big enough, right? In the same part of the room. U4 always in that corner and back, and you're training, but you're not everywhere. You're not all over everyone. We're not cross training yet. I just keep thinking about the poor bastard who gets hurt the first day back. I'm just hoping that's not me. Man.
I had a student break his finger yesterday training with his brother in his garage. Oh, Jesus, man.
Everybody's
fingers and toes, they almost don't count.
Everybody's got like one round in them, and they're smoked.
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely going to show who was working out during all this and who was doing nothing.
That's real, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm getting better with it. I feel like I'm kind of stuck in the middle, right? I'm making some bad food decisions. You know what I mean? Everyone that's here, like, you know, we're not getting the number of workouts that we're used to getting, like 10, 12 workouts a week. You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening.
Right.
So, and I went literally from the best shape of my life, you know, at the beginning of March, getting ready for PANS. And Mr. Pangelinan was not in my division, so I was like pretty stoked to go out there and compete. Till now, like, you know, even, you know, my wife and I did a bunch of, you know, squats and bench and tri extensions and bicep, like some different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's helpful, right? It's like it'll keep us in reasonable condition to come back to, but I feel like all of us have to be at less than 50% capacity with workout load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny, Jay, is that I was going to use PANS as my kind of like to get over the heat because of my pop, you know, like I was training like I was going to do it. And I was waiting up until that last minute. I was going to sign up, and I was going to text you, like, "Hey, I'm in." and then they dropped the ball on us. So
Right. Well, hey man, next year we can meet in the finals, and that'll be cool.
I'm in.
And I was doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It was really emotional for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I knew that if I didn't do it, if I dropped because of Jared's passing, he would be so pissed at me. And I knew I had to do it. But it was funny. I was sitting there and I'm talking to Mike Pellegrino and we're like going back and forth. And he's like, University of California shut down. And I was like, all right, we're probably next. But I was thinking maybe like optimistically, it's an independent organization. So maybe they can still rent the space and it's not part of UC. And, okay. And then when it came out, so they're like, hey, we've canceled Pans. I had a king-size Milky Way in my belly. And I was in the way to the grocery store within 5 minutes to get mac and cheese and an entire ice cream cake.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. I wonder why you've gained like 30 pounds.
It's not 30. I was 219 this morning, by the way. Just so you know.
Are we talking about Fudgy the Whale?
I was going to say Jay Mansfield versus Fudgy the Whale for the finals.
Or was it Cookie Puss?
It was, so they didn't have Carvel cakes in the Hannafords out this way. They're friendlies. So there's less cookie in the middle, but that like cool gel frosting they put on.
Yeah, man.
The unsung hero of ice cream cakes is that
Tom Carvel knew what he was doing. Guys, we're already getting some comments here, so I'm going to interrupt every now and then and pass these comments along for the people that are watching live. First off, Aaron says, Jay, love the Hawk.
Thanks, brother.
John Paul says, if you've always been out of shape, no one will ever know the difference. And
that's a good point.
Who's that directed towards?
Aaron also asked, do you guys think everyone's going to come back and kill more? I'm going to answer that yes. It's going to be freaking WrestleMania if you guys let it be that way. And people are going to get hurt because everyone wants to train so bad. I don't know about getting hurt, but
Sometimes
what do you think?
when you're not in shape, you can get injured.
Yeah.
True. Not pliable, not mobile. That's usually the culprit.
Yeah.
Dehydrated, non-mobile is usually like hard training will do it. I think actually Bryant's probably the best one to point this to. This is a lifetime of like strength and conditioning with this guy and competition. Like, what do you think?
It's going to be people that are going to be so like in over their head as far as I've been wanting to train for so long, and then just like you said, the lack of everything due to this quarantine is gonna show. And that's why I was saying, like, man, there's got to be some sort of like regulation with us school owners, like how we're gonna do this safely, so we make sure we don't have hurt students and over piling on top of each other, and that whole hysteria that can happen. So this is all brand new to everybody, but at the same time, it's like I'm encouraging my team to making sure that you work out, whatever you can do, even if it's just running outside, do something, to make sure they stay on top of it, because obviously, maintaining your health is going to keep you, going through this.
Right. What about you, Kevin? Like, so Kevin runs an amazing school in Dover, New Hampshire. I know a bunch of his guys. Like, what have you guys thought about how you're going to approach this thing when we get back to training?
Just like one of the guys just made the suggestion about just 4-man training teams, and I've got the liberty, and I'm very, very lucky to have be able to offer the school every hour. So I'm thinking maybe every 45 minutes, a group of like 12 guys or 4 sets or 16 people, 4 sets of 4 people come in at a time if they want, or even there's 2 or 3 out of the group of 4 that want to come in and train. At least you stick with the 4 people that you're grouped up with for at least 2 weeks to maybe 3 weeks. And then if nobody keeps getting sick or nobody gets sick, then maybe cycle out, maybe change up a little partner in and out of a group or something.
That's an interesting thought. So, what Greg had mentioned is 4-person teams. Like, he's got a nice big academy. You can segregate a piece of the mat for each 4-person group, right? But you can also change the your hours of the academy to accommodate for these folks. So you could bring in, you know, if you have a smaller academy, you can bring in 12 people at a time as an example and like segment them out the same way and just say, hey, you're from, 6 to 7, you're from 7 to 8, you're from 8
right.
Yeah, you mean
that's
like
what I was thinking about doing too. Sorry. We offer on a regular 4 class times a day, 6 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. So, I mean, to limit the number in a class, I would totally be open to, putting more. Because, I mean, it's all I do all day long, so you might as well just hang out at the academy. But, just
That's what I've been dying for. Get back there.
Yeah. I mean, why not? And it's we're gonna be filtering in all these people, and a friend of mine mentioned, he's in law enforcement. He's like, man, it wouldn't be a bad idea if hopefully someone comes up with some sort of affordable way that these small businesses and public type areas can give us like a temperature gauge for someone walking through the door. Like, all right, you're good. Like, just making sure we're all clear, just a CYA on everything.
I think it has to be a lot of trust too on your students and the teammates to be able to have the respect for each other and to not come in if you feel sick. And even if you just have a little bit of an ache, just stay home.
It's a super, super sensitive topic, right? So if you don't do jiu-jitsu, then you probably don't know.
Yeah.
If you do, then you do know, like, how this bug works. And every minute that we're not on the mat is a moment of progression and finding out more about ourselves and developing our game and understanding more about this thing. And so people are really itchy. They want to train so bad, and we're all going so crazy at this point that we start thinking crazy thoughts like, hey, what if I just get together with this guy? Schedule, like, you know what I mean? And the more people do that, the more havoc.
Jiu-jitsu for most of us is like a form of therapy. Like I tell you, I'm not selling martial arts, I'm selling therapy. It's combative therapy. We all get some kind of relief of it because of the chemicals that it creates of just, you're getting your endorphins, your dopamines, your serotonin, you're getting your oxytocin from like connecting and actually physically contact with people, and we are cut off from that supply. You got people that are getting real stir crazy that normally want it because we're being stripped of this for ourselves. And I know for me personally, like that's why I got into teaching jiu-jitsu, is because it was that relief. Yeah. And now it's like, all right, well, that's gone. What do I have to do mentally? Like, that's why, like, as soon as I saw that grappling dummy video, I was like, I gotta make it. I gotta do something. I gotta play. My wife doesn't train, but she's like, I'll let you move me around for a little bit. And like, just that connection and that movement, like, gives you a little bit of sanity left, to be honest.
Man, so Mike Pellegrino, his fiance is Half Gracie's first female black belt. He's got it made, but so she can't do that much. Chris Owen out in my buddy out in Arizona, his wife is a pretty high level purple belt, and I'm like, God damn it, honey, God damn it. And
look what happened today. He got a green mohawk.
I got it. Look at you guys.
Dude, I get beat up by everybody in my house.
You're probably getting all the training you want to get, and I just want to say fuck you. You're training all the time. I don't want to hear it.
I got to second that emotion there. I mean, people who can train at home. Anyway, guys, there's some more people writing in. I want to make sure everybody's keep the comments together so I don't have to read too many at a time. Jared, well, actually, let's come back to that one. Corey says cleaning the mats in between classes are going to take some time, so you're going to need to think about that.
Does anybody not do that?
No, he means if you have everybody coming in on the hour, you know what I mean?
You're right. That's a good point.
That's actually the original reason I came up that I was thinking about doing. You have to have your own section of the room, because my ramping into the 4-person thing was having like 2-person privates, and we would do it in one part of the mat, and then I would just 45 minutes and then clean for 15 and then let that dry, hopefully, as I do another area.
Can I ask an operations question for you guys, like the school owners out there? Do you guys have, like, George and I have been talking about like a bulldog type thing, like a machine cleaner? Do you guys use that, or you do like old school?
I'm still old school. Big old sprayer, like industrial size sprayer. I have about 3,000 square feet of mat space, so we just like just douse it. And I mean, Kurt taught me a long time ago, make it rain and make it just flooded, and you'll know everything's going to die. And that's
the napalm version.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm old school. Matter of fact, it's funny because I just threw out my old mop pads. I'm like, screw it. And I just ordered new ones today. So
it's a good call. We should all be replacing that stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I use a company called Cintas. I don't know exactly how far they are. I don't think they're out on the West Coast, but they supply. Okay, yeah, they supply all my soap, my hand sanitizer. Nice. They come out once every 2 weeks, change the mop heads, change the brooms, change my mat. So it's a fee, of course, but I mean they do all the toilet paper, all the paper towels, so I don't have to remember, oh shit, I ran out of paper towels. Toilet paper, I don't know what's going to happen now with that, but you know.
Yeah, I made a post a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I use a Dolomer mat cleaner at my place, and we've done it since day one. And we've been doing it since I was in wrestling, way back when. If you look on the ingredients, it says kills coronavirus. Yeah, so that's pretty legit. That
is legit.
So I messaged those guys, thank you for what you do, and it's funny, you go on Amazon right now, you can't even buy mat cleaner right now. It's all sold out.
Greg Wood's got a special quarantine room.
Oh yeah, because I just moved, I matted part of my basement, and I set up lighting and camera, and so I have a PMA video class HQ in my basement.
Well, if you guys, so a lot of people are having trouble finding sanitizer right now because, if you go to your local grocery store or Walgreens or anything like that, they're completely sold out.
Yeah.
But my friend in my upper right here, or upper left,
it's everyone's upper left, yeah.
Tortuga Soap Company. Not only do they make amazing soap, you guys should check out. They do a tea tree thing for jiu-jitsu folks on the regular basis, but also they're one of the few people that continue to manufacture a ton of really high quality hand sanitizer and sanitizer. So I think if you look at Tortuga Soap on Etsy, for anybody that's listening that's looking for that stuff, you're supporting a local business. It's obviously what you guys need. I hate to plug on the podcast. I don't want to do it.
The only soap I'll use.
I have no problem plugging.
Isn't it great? It's great.
I love their soap.
It's the best.
I do. I love that soap.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely.
Dear Dolomer, send us all a jug. Thanks.
Fair enough.
So Kevin, you got your black belt from Marcelo Alonso, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been talking to a bunch of Carlson guys lately, and we were talking to a friend of ours from the Netherlands who's a Carlson, lineage. And he was talking. I was like, "You ever train with Marcelo Alonso?" He's like, "Yeah, that guy is mean." I was like, "Dude, he's the nicest guy ever." He's like, "Did you roll with him?" I was like, "No, I didn't, but he's super nice."
Yeah, he's a demon to roll with. I think the last time I trained with him was I was back in Seattle. When I first came back out to the East Coast or moved back to New Hampshire, he came out and supported a seminar with, I think I had 6 people in Kittery, Maine. And that was kind of the last time that I really trained with him. But he's got a lot of bad injuries. He just tore his whole shoulder, completely tore his shoulder in Brazil, I want to say, right around 7 years ago.
Well, he's a little guy, man. I mean, and he grew
up.
So we have some interesting comments here. Justin made the point that mat cleaning could be irrelevant if this is airborne anyway. If that's the case.
Yeah, if we were training now, I mean, the idea is we do what we can when we come back. Right?
Sure, right. But he made a really good point, which I love. Outdoor training is an idea as well.
I wish, that'd be great. And
we've had a
year.
I have some mats that I throw out on the lawn down by the pond, and we train out here sometimes. Just a couple of us, or certainly not during the pandemic. And there's something about training outdoors. I'm sure everybody will agree. You could just go and go and go. It's real energetic. Matthew wants to know, what are you drinking, Steve Austin?
Margarita.
Steve, it says margarita. Corey says antibacterial, shouldn't be confused with antiviral. I'm sure that we understand that. Robert says cucumber melon Tortuga hand sanitizer is The Rock.
Nice. That's awesome.
Greg, a podcast veteran, Greg Sinelli, I'm trying not to use last names, but I'm sure Greg won't mind, says, I can't get past Jay's hair. It's like a bad car accident. I can't look away.
Oh, no.
Come on, man. Hey, I want to point back to the Steven Seagal ponytail that you were rocking for a few years. Like, people in glass houses, brother.
Corey says that it's the Fruity Pebbles seeping out. That's what makes it green. Chris says that Jay looks like Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy, which, of course, everybody agrees. And that's not a bad thing. Can you whistle? No, can you whistle like this guy, like he does?
I can't do that. I don't have that skill.
Right on.
I'd love to have that wand. You know what I mean?
So, yeah.
Has anybody been doing anything, like trying to do anything new during this isolation?
Yeah. Well, we're doing a 30-day challenge at PMA at my school, and everybody's picking their own challenge. Just because there's 30 days, so we did a 30-day challenge. And I said, you pick your own challenge. Some people are doing their hobby. Some people are working on a language, getting up early. Some people are doing physical ones. I decided to do push-ups. So I've never really done a lot of push-ups. So I thought this was a lot when I started, but I decided to do 50 a day, but 50 days became really, really easy in the first week. So I'm up to 75, 100 a day. And it gives you a nice soreness the whole day if you're doing it every day, but it's good. I'm getting stronger. I could tell.
So a cool thing you can try, Greg, is, and George has been doing push-ups like a motherfucker, but I got challenged by a guy that I lift with to hit 1,000 over the course of a weekend. And it's you know what I mean? It sounds like a lot, but when you segment it out, you do 20 or 30, and things add up quick. You know what I mean? You can get to I said I do 333 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and be done. And it wasn't easy, but it kept me away. First of all, it made me active, you know what I mean? Cleared my head and kind of gave me some structure to do some things over the weekend when I'd normally be training. But, yeah, it was, dude, my truck.
I was a police officer for many years. I was a police officer for many years, and I was a training officer in the police academy. And we used to challenge our recruits every day, and one of them was a push-up challenge in a day. And so wherever you were at, you just drop and push. And I got up to 1,070 in one day.
In one day.
So
I'm gonna ask some questions too. So for those you got, like anybody who does jiu-jitsu should know Bryant, but one of the original members of the Show Your Roll crew. This guy's a competitor. Runs an awesome school called Sabre.
Thank you, man.
But also his background is strength and conditioning. So tell me, you don't have to brag, right? Like, talk to me about your numbers. What's your biggest deadlift of your life?
God, I used to pull 6 and up.
Jesus Christ.
My best bench I did was like 455, and I did that like 6 times.
455 6 times?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I stopped right there. I'm like, no more. My shoulders they can't handle that no more. But it's like I squatted a lot, I deadlifted a lot, I benched a lot. But like now I'm like well into my 40s, and I'm like, man, as long as I can do the movement still, I'm not worried about numbers anymore.
Right. Well,
yeah, I issued this challenge, and then I said I was going to do. I was like, well, as an example, I'll do push-ups. And I have a student, and the next time I talk to him, because I'm calling all my students as we're apart, he's like, oh, I read this book by Herschel Walker a long time ago, and it's about how to hit. Maybe some of you guys know this, about how he would do 1,000 push-ups a day. Mm-hmm. So I started working my way up, and I was like, you did 1,000 push-ups in a day, and he's like, yeah, I still do it twice a week. I'll do it. I was what? Mm-hmm. You do 1,000 push-ups 2 days a week? Like, this guy is broad-chested, and I guess we know why now. But I got a student, so I was like, oh man, I got to at least go to 100. Now.
So it's interesting. I maybe someone on here knows better than I do, but Herschel Walker went and competed in MMA. Maybe 10 years ago is my guess.
Yeah, in Strike Force.
Right, and I don't know. I think it was well over 40 at the time. And he was ripped to a
jacked.
just jacked. And I'm like, Herschel, it's not the push-ups that are helping you. I'm like, there's just no way. I mean, he's a super freak, so maybe he's like all natural, but
Yeah.
I think he said he did it like 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups every day.
Yeah.
He said that he did. I mean, that's insane.
Well, you know, the thing is, it's like how we did it and how I got to that number. It was like you take like a number. Mine was 20. If I can get to 20, if I can knock out like another 10 in one session, then I'm good. So, and then I started counting by sets. Like, all right, cool. I did 10 sets of 20 today. Not bad. I'm going to try and get on better tomorrow. Let's see what I can get. And so, you know, it would never be in succession. It'd be like, all right, this hour I'll knock out 3 sets. The next hour I just did 1, or, you know, you just
right.
play around with it. And I think now, since we have so much freaking time on our hands, like, why not?
Yeah.
You get a little cool trivia thing for me. I do 350 sit-ups 3 times a week.
Nice.
I've been doing it for like the last year.
Nice.
Yeah, the diet doesn't always help though. You have to eat good. You got to eat good to like look good. So you have all the abs, but they might have a little bit of padding on top of them. You know?
It's okay. Everybody needs padding.
Yeah. Actually, I was nervous about being too thin for the coronavirus because people have been dropping like 10 pounds in like a day, like dropping weight. I'm like, if I catch this thing and I'm at the weight I'm at, I'm in big trouble because. Well,
you're real lean to begin with. I mean, you're a great athlete. You work out all the time, and
you're small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine not being able to eat because you can't breathe. Like, you know, just a couple days of that, and it won't take too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had one of my students just call me yesterday to see if he could get in at a private. He just got over the coronavirus, and he's about 6'2", about 170 pounds. So he's very fit, very thin. And he said it lasted just about 8 days. But he wasn't ever really deathly ill. He just was achy. He tested.
Oh, lost audio on you, Kevin.
Yeah. Huh. For some reason.
Can't hear you.
Oh, bummer. He's not on mute either, so it's.
Don't worry about the dead air. Hang on, everybody, just hang on. Kevin, could you just count to 3, please?
1, 2.
Oh, you're back.
All right, so what's happening is everybody keeps talking, so we we're covering over them. So if everybody can hang on a sec. Kevin, could you go back and say what you just said again? We didn't get that on air. Go ahead.
From the beginning?
You have a student?
Oh, I have a student who called me because he had just gotten over the coronavirus. He'd been sick for about 8 days. His wife was sick for about 10 days. She doesn't exercise regularly, and so she was pretty sick. He exercises. He's in really good shape. He's about 6'2", 190. And he said all he had were like aches and pains. But his doctor told him that he could just kind of like go back to regular life. Don't worry about getting sick again. I'm not sure how it all works or whatever like that. I'm not in that type of smart at all. But he, you know, it kind of makes me wonder if some people that have gotten sick, what are going to be the protocols for them returning back to doing what they want?
One of the things that's going on that I've been reading about, because I'm really interested in this, my sister is an infectious disease control, she's like the head nurse at York Hospital, and her job is infectious disease control. And the hinge for her, or at least the hinge in general, is antibody testing. So testing, if you've had it, if you have the antibodies, theoretically now you're, group B, right? Now, I think that's probably what you're describing, Kevin, is that the doctor's going. So the issue is, once you have the antibodies at this point, it's an interesting concept where they're drawing plasma from people who have antibodies and putting it in people who have coronavirus and seeing if that will actually cure it or keep you from getting it. So you can see this is happening really fast, but I think it's really coming down to that. I mean, can you test to see if you're already clear,
Right.
Speaking of the test, does anybody know what the test is? Because I heard it's like some super thing that they has to go up your nose. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's not that bad. It's just a really long Q-tip that goes all the way up your nose. You're gonna be fine, George. You can handle this.
It's almost irrelevant though, testing like all these numbers, and I heard that we passed Italy for the largest number of deaths for for COVID of any country globally, which by the way is not surprising. Like our population is so much higher than theirs, but man, we're not testing enough. Like, and also some really weird things are happening. Like you could go to work and get caught in a machine press and die from having your arm ripped off, and if they test you and you had COVID, they're putting that in with the numbers that you were tested positive for COVID and you died.
Right.
That's messed up.
What do we argue about the numbers? The first part you said is dead on, which is testing. It's got to be tested. Science.
Got to be tested.
Get some science. Stop thinking about people and blame and politics and test people. Get the numbers. Get the science. Move it to the next step. There's a bunch of people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as a population of people, particularly in jiu-jitsu, because that's who I come into contact the most with, I think we're pretty unified, right? Like we all want to do the right thing. We're all in it for each other. We're all helped to, kind of make sure that we can kind of like lift up the people that need it right now and kind of keep schools open and keep schools running. And and keep spirits high for the people that depend on mat time in order to keep their sanity. I don't want to make this political, but like I feel like politics are a huge blocker for us getting things done right now, because I feel like we're not heard anymore, and like the concept of us being the most important demographic, which is the people.
The jiu-jitsu people.
Well,
the jiu-jitsu people.
Right.
We need a black belt
Carlos
president.
Gracie should be down there getting all the jiu-jitsu people tested so that we can go back and start training.
Right.
The IBJJF needs to do something.
Just to bounce off of kind of what Jay just mentioned about like, our culture, our jiu-jitsu community looking out for each other. I hate to say it, but man, like social media is kind of like almost like Big Brother, and it's that little sniper spy that looks and you can see everything that's going on with everybody around. And I'm still seeing some pretty reckless behavior from people in the jiu-jitsu community. It's like, what are you doing? And it's like you see unnecessary things and people doing this and that. It's like, wow, you're just not. You're not smart, and I will judge you based on your decision right now. And a part of me, still based on my law enforcement side, will come out and be like, you know what? I would have freaking cited you like right now or took you to jail because you're an idiot.
Right.
Just stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm still seeing it. And again, it's just people like kind of maybe in that, oh, it won't happen to me, or, just reckless and they don't care. And I hate to say it, but it's still out there.
It's kind of everybody or nobody. You know what I mean? Like, especially people in leadership positions. You gotta. Sure, a couple of people training here, there probably isn't going to change much, but that's not the point. If the people that you look up to are not following the deal, then that's where the dam breaks and everybody does it, and you got to have that good faith, right?
Yeah,
it's hyper selfish. We all want to train. You know what I mean? When this thing, I said it on previous podcasts, when this thing first started and everybody first started to shut down, be like, hey, it's cool, we got to shut down the school, but we'll get together here and there. We did that for like a week. And then we got a better understanding of what was happening. It was like, this is, it's wrong. And we got to stop it. And we got to make sure that we keep people safe, because I don't want to be the guy that gets someone else sick, that goes home and then gets the grandma sick who has respiratory problems and dying. Like you might not even ever hear about the repercussions of the decisions you made, and you might think, hey, a year from now when you say this thing is all over, hey, I trained through COVID and there was no problem, so what's the deal? But you don't know. You might have killed people because you couldn't control your attitude and you were too selfish to get off the mat. Everyone on this podcast is so thirsty to train. It's unbelievable. And I know that because I know all of you. Like, but we're doing the right thing and staying home and keeping the gi off and keeping the rash guards off and doing what we can at home to do the right thing for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's amazing selfless behavior. And it's just, people need to understand the downstream repercussions of their actions, like they should in all of their life.
You know what the other thing was too, that like when we talked about, we were like, I remember like Brad closed his gym and a couple other people I knew, and I was like, man, these guys are closing gyms. I was like, holy crap. Like, and so Jay and I were talking, and then like, a week went by and we started realizing that it was serious. But at first I was like, I don't know if we need to close. Like people don't, but then we were like, dude, we have to close, because if we don't close, everyone's going to train, because people can't, for some reason, not. If the gym is open, people are going to train.
I had the opposite thing. I hung in there. I saw everybody closing, and I tried to keep open as long as possible. And I think there was like 3 days, no one came in for any of the classes. People were like spooked. Wow. And I have a student whose dad was in the hospital with it, and then I have another student who lost their grandmother to it.
Wow.
I know like they're being affected by it, and I see like other students posting like they don't believe in the virus and it's all media hype. And I'm like, oh man, I could see this like civil war breaking out between people.
Yeah.
So a bunch of comments here. I want to make sure that they're getting heard. So on the testing, a lot of comments on that same thing. Being number one in America being number one in testing as well. Corey says Gordon Ryan got a huge reaction when he posted that he was still training. I think that's what we were talking about before. But some of the other interesting comments, Greg Sinelli came back and said if everyone started a strength program, dedicated the time they would normally be training jiu-jitsu to get strong during this quarantine, they'd be insanely strong upon return to the mat. I'll actually grab that comment. You guys are all so serious. I'm vain. I have never worked out the pump, so I'm taking this opportunity to use those 2 kettlebells like every day. I'm going to look good. I don't care how my jiu-jitsu is. I'm going to take this time to make some good-looking results, because I can't do that thing where you stand upside down and you do that. I'm getting too old. I can't put on one hand and put my T-shirt on like all you cool guys. I tried it. I was going to do it, and I'm like, they're just going to embarrass myself. So I'm just going to go with looking good instead. Pretty much all the comments are just following along what you guys talk about Herschel Walker and how much the whole thing sucks. But yeah, man, people are watching you and talking about how some people had symptoms back in November. And, Matthew says he thinks that some of us had it and never actually tested because it was minor symptoms. I certainly couldn't agree with that more. I'm pretty sure George and I both got really, really sick. What was it, like mid-December, right?
I was sick. I was sick in early February.
I think it was. Was that late? Because I got sick right before you. I'm pretty sure that it went around. A couple people got sick.
Right before we went to Puerto Rico, though. I lost 13 pounds in like a week.
Yeah, but we got sick. Okay, so I definitely got sick way before I even knew the word coronavirus.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But I was super sick, and I was, I don't know if I had it or not. But the bummer is I was really like, I was looking good, man. I was in a lighter division. Now I'm probably a division above the one I normally am in. Like, I mean, I've fallen off the rails with eating lately. That's been the downfall.
I was at a Globetrotters camp. Maybe some of you guys, I know Steve, you and I met at the Globetrotters camp in Maine last year, I believe. But so these Globetrotters camps, people from all over the world, and we were in Austria in January. And so this year, I was sicker than I've ever been in my life. Also lost 14 pounds. And George, you and I don't have it to lose. So I lost 14 pounds in 3 days. I rallied enough to fly home, and then I got even sicker with this crazy cough for like 6 weeks it took to go away. And I'm not saying it was coronavirus, but that camp became known as the plague camp of 2020 because everybody got sick. 75%, 80% of the people at that camp got sick. I think I do believe I have the honor of having had it like the worst. But I literally thought I was gonna die. And that's not an exaggeration. Like I started coughing in my house and I had like spasmodic coughing where your throat closes. And if not for jiu-jitsu, I don't know if I could have like kept my cool and been like, and like, it was like coffee straw until the spasm released. And then I was like, I got, medicine right away and thankfully got through it. But that was the sickest I've ever been in my life. And that was in January. But I'm not going to say it was happen. Something's been going around.
I had it happen in December, right in the early December. I got really sick for almost the entire month, and it was bad. I dropped. I was funny. It was like I was starting to think about like getting in shape. You know what I mean, for pans and stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm 198 pounds, and my fever is like well over 100 degrees for 3 days, and I feel like kind of. Maybe because people are saying as early as September it might have been around, and it kind of I check all the boxes. It was respiratory, and you know what I mean, like coughing up a lot of stuff, not breathing very well, high temperature. Like I really didn't feel good. Speaking of that weight cut, like Bryant, maybe you should consider like dropping the light heavy. You and Bryant can battle it out. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Do anything to keep him out of your division, huh? Actually, Bryant, someone named Sean mentioned that the dude in the top right, that's you, is hot AF. So you're
probably one of my students.
You're building your new brand on the podcast. So congratulations, that's great.
Thanks.
I guess the rest of us are just chopped liver. It's all good.
Now you know where to take your Instagram from here, Bryant.
Hot AF, dude.
Hey, times are tough. Times are tough. I got to pay rent somehow.
What's that UFC thing where like the fighter, like you can get like the behind the scenes thing on the side or something? You could be doing that. So I'm trying to like look at positive things of this thing, and like I feel like a lot of positive things I've gotten out of it. Like I think I was taking jiu-jitsu for granted, right? And like, man, I am not taking it for granted now. Like I'm dying to go train.
Well, I have to say, like, I'm pretty blessed and lucky. Like my nephew who lives with me, he's one of my black belts, so we get to train. So I get to work out. But I guess aside from the frequency of my training sessions, which was like 3 times a day, plus lifting, plus doing WODs and cardio and all this crazy stuff. Even when I wasn't getting ready for a tournament, I was already doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm still trying to maintain that level, but it's not as structured as it once was. But I think for me also, it's just seeing my team, and I think that's the other mental health side of it. That's I'm like really, really craving. Like, man, I miss seeing my 6 a.m. crew. I miss my friggin' noon goons that come in, and my evening team that's normally my white belts. Like, there's members of the family that we all can identify with. Like, oh, I miss that guy or miss this gal or whatever it might be. And like that interaction, that camaraderie, it's to me that's huge. And I think that's one of the most important parts that it's missing from all of us is just seeing each other. And we all can jack each other up and choke each other and all that kind of good stuff. That's part of the suffering that we all enjoy, and then we all do it together. And again, that's part of that camaraderie. So,
could ringworm be eradicated from this? Like everybody's ringworm could be gone, and maybe it's a thing of the past now.
Honestly, isolation means we're not like. Everyone should fundamentally come back to this thing without being sick, right?
Right.
Yeah, look at the way the smog is leaving LA, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of other positives here.
If it like to piggyback off of what Bryant was saying, like you think about that, I in my brain I'm like I miss the slap and the bump, right? And it's the relationship in the role, the conversation of the role. Within like those people, like I think of different students and different training partners that I have. It's a conversation when you roll, right? Like they all have different styles and or to different things in the role that happen, and the pluses and the minuses and the things that you're trying to work on or the things that you're trying to help them with, and the manifestation of our personalities in the role when you roll together with that person. It really is a conversation. And even beyond just the family camaraderie, which of course I miss so much. I miss that conversation with all those different people. You know what I mean? To sweat with them on the mat and that camaraderie. Like, hey, if there's any Port City BJJers out there or any of my training partners, Boston, Mass, like, I miss you guys, man. I miss training with you like you can't imagine. Like, it's a killer. That part's the killer. But like I said, like to George's point, the positive, like the thing we can look back, you know, I will never take this for granted again. Like I'm going to come back like a savage and just want to train all the time and really puts things in perspective, I guess. You know, these things we think are important, they're not important. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a lot of people that are out of work. I'm not putting it, I'm not saying that. Like, you know what I mean? If you can't pay the bills, that's a really tough situation. I feel anybody that's in that position, I really do. First responder, like I'm thinking about you guys every day. Bryant is one, you know, was, and like, you know, there's a lot of folks that are like that. And I'm thinking about you guys, Nate Ryan's wife, Sue, like I know you are putting in every hour you possibly can to help people. You're in the hospital all the time. You know, there are positives coming out of this. I think the respect for those first responders coming out of this, I go back to 9/11, you know what I mean? How much respect we had for those folks. Yeah. It's human nature to forget, right? And we should continue to remember that these people are super, super important and they keep us standing and they hold us up when we're falling. And, you know, the love for jiu-jitsu will be there when we get back. And, man, it won't be a great time to be a white belt, I'll tell you that.
There was some. Go ahead, Amanda.
Sure. To back you up on that, Jay, I think when we get back and the people who are on the mats, we are going to have an even stronger bond with those people. The people who go and won't come back, you know, maybe they were iffy to begin with, but the solid guys and girls who come back on the mat and who stuck with us this whole time, that's going to make our bond even stronger.
I agree.
Yeah, we are. I am darn well not going to forget this time. My students supported me through this time. You know, keeping their community open together, able to come back. I mean, it's just so huge.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things George and I were talking about was there are so few. There's so few activities that most sort of what you want to call normal people do that really drag them truly away from social media. I mean, someone can wake up in the morning, flip on the cell phone, do the commute, work all day, have a tab open, commute, get home, right? I mean, one of the cool things about something like jiu-jitsu is that there is no time to keep track of your Facebook. You know, it's a very real moment along with all the physical aspect and the communal aspect. But the other thing that we were talking about was a guy named Ben Roy, who's a comedian who had a TV show for quite a while, who trains, and he made the point that people need to be in the same room laughing with other people, and comedians are screwed right now because you can't do comedian over Zoom. I mean, I'm a musician; I can make a recording, people can watch it, but even I mean, I talked to Jay about this. It's like, how cool is just this hanging out, right? Making a couple of jokes on Zoom. It's so detached, but nothing replaces that feeling of, like George. George is, I'm sorry, I'm going to compliment him now. He's a relatively funny guy. Sorry.
Don't do it.
When we're training. So he is, from his point of view, he's laughing like 7 days a week, sometimes, for hours at a time with people around. That's tough. You can't replace that, whether it's with jiu-jitsu or not. Jiu-jitsu hits a lot of buttons. I'm a guy who carries a lot of demons. I gotta keep them in line, and I can't stop my hands, right? It's like, it's a serious thing, and I can't wait to get back to this again,
Yeah. One thing I won't take for granted anymore is the fact that we've had such a big community here in the Northeast, and I'm always if I get a moment to like have a night off from jiu-jitsu, or in the past get a moment to have a night off from jiu-jitsu, I would take it instead of going over to a friend's school, like in Portsmouth, the Port City guys, and visiting George and being able to train with them. I roll with Amanda, thank God, for once. She kicked my butt a little bit. And really, when this is all over, I do plan on not taking for granted that part, that there are so many other jiu-jitsu people around here and good people like George and Amanda, and hopefully I meet the other guys around too.
You don't want to meet any of these other guys.
Hey, I feel seen.
You know, the cool thing about that, Kevin, is that, like, I think I don't know how to put this. In a previous life, I guess, you know what I mean? Those things wouldn't happen. And the way our organization's run right now, there's a lot of cross-training going on. I know Gary's come train with you guys a bunch, and Hanley's been over our place a bunch. And I that I keep saying, I'm going to come by and I'm going to train and other things. Me too. You know what I mean? Like life got in the way and like those strange priorities in your life. But when this thing is done, like, there's no question that I'm going to be spending time at your place. I want to come, like, and check you guys out and train with you guys and learn from you guys. And I've told everybody, like, I am taking a pilgrimage. So if you're not local, basically I'm coming to see you. Brian, I told Brian, I'm like, I'm coming. I told Croyler I'm going to his place. You know what I mean? And I'm going to, all this vacation time, like I was going to be in California for a week. I was going to be in Mexico for a week. I'm sorry, like, Steve, I know you were going to be down in Puerto this time. I'm bummed out because
you were
to BJJ in Paradise this time.
I was there in October. I wasn't going to be in April.
Oh, okay.
Well, now that it's going to be in August, now you can.
Hopefully.
Brian, I'd love to come out and spend some time at Sabre. I have 5 weeks of vacation time right now.
Yeah. Looking back, and that's one thing I can definitely say is, like, I never took things for granted. I've, just never been that kind of person. And especially when it comes to, like, I look at, like, this podcast, I met some of you guys based on my travels, based on me bouncing around the world. And I've been around the world and back and trained in so many different places. And my network is just huge. And I'm like, I'm glad I did that, because now I can look at this now and be like, when this shit is all over, I'm coming right back out to where I was and visiting all my friends again, because that's what got me through too, And I think it might be an eye-opener for some people to be like, I want to go do those things I always wanted to do, or maybe I should try and reach out, or just get a little bit more out of life. And I just see, like, jiu-jitsu is our vehicle to do so. So why not,
That's an awesome point. And Brian, you're a great example of this. Like, I know that between your heritage and like being a show your old crew member, like, that's brought you all over the world, and jiu-jitsu in general has brought you all over the world. I know that, like, you support the island pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Like, what has that been like for you to do that previously and be able to kind of go to places like Guam and all over the world to train and meet your friends and kind of travel on behalf of the concept of jiu-jitsu? And now, like, you're like, stuck in your office.
Well, it's funny because, I get messages daily from my friends all over the world, and like, hey, what's going on? And, we're basically checking in on each other and stuff. But, like, again, looking back to all the things I've done, the countries, the places, the tournaments, the seminars, and all this stuff, I'm like, gosh, man, like, I never tried to look at myself as anybody greater than anybody. We all put our pants on the same. We all tie our belt the same, no matter the color. It doesn't matter. But, if I can use what I've done through jiu-jitsu, be it where I'm from, the titles I've won, or whatever, in an effort to help or support or inspire the next generation, why not? And, I think especially now, I'm not trying to cure cancer, and I can't. But can I put out a good message to everybody and anyone I ever come in contact with? Maybe I can try. It's a lot better than pretending like nothing's going on. I think we all, in this podcast, we all have a voice that can reach out to somebody. And why not do that at least, once a week or once a day or something, just to, maybe that person, just like a move we taught somebody, like in a seminar in a class, like, oh, I remember when Professor J showed me this, or when Steve Austin showed me that, like, if we said one good thing a day during this whole pandemic, maybe it's going to filter through to somebody and resonate and be like, hey, you know what? I remember when I was going through a hardship and so, they told me that got me through. So I just kind of see it like maybe like that.
Man, I'll tell you what, like, one of the positive things that's happened is, like, we never did remote podcasts, but now we've been kind of forced to do them, and I got all this time on my hands, or our hands, and so we've been doing a ton. We brought, like, all these amazing people together, like friends that we've met from all over, and it's been great. And then, like, we've met people recently, like this guy, Seth Hamilton, the other night, who is just like this guy in East St. Louis that a friend of ours, Monte, was like, George, you should have this guy on the podcast. I was like, all right. And I looked him up, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is out doing amazing things through jiu-jitsu and combat sports. He's going to Africa, and you got to listen to the podcast and look it up, but
podcast is up on YouTube right now. Seth Hamilton, he went to Nicaragua. He's got his work right in East St. Louis with kids. Super inspiring.
And changing, like, but I would have probably never met, been introduced to that guy, except for the fact that we're stuck at home doing podcasts, and he's inspired the hell out of me,
So one of the things that he talked about, this guy is traveling all over the world. He might be the most selfless person I've ever met, like maybe him and Gandhi. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Every time I complimented this guy on something amazing that he's doing, he would say, it's not about me, it's about these people. And it's go-int.org. It's Go International is the name of it. And basically what he does is there's three concepts he has, and one is athletics, one is entrepreneurship, and one is education. So he goes to these communities that are challenged, you know what I mean, based on, like, they don't have all the advantages that some of us might have grown up with, maybe not, but, the concept of having kind of stepping, like stairs to kind of climb our lives into a position where we can support ourselves in our community. He goes to places where they don't have that. And he instills in them those three concepts, and basically the athletics piece is jiu-jitsu, entrepreneurship, like, hey, let's get a business going where these people, these like teenagers, can kind of run a business where they're maybe doing something locally, you know what I mean, with what they have locally or not, and then educating those people so that they can bring not only themselves out of their situation and bring their community along with them. And the thing that's awesome about this, like the thing that really stuck with me, is that it's not there's so many organizations that do this, and they come and they feed a bunch of people and they do a bunch of stuff and they leave, and then everything falls into disarray. His concept is to go to these places and make these people self-sufficient with those concepts to continue on, like the athletics, the entrepreneurship, and the education, to lift their community up and be, pillars of the community to kind of drive these things up. This guy is amazing. Like, you got to check out that podcast. It's amazing. It was inspiring for me. And again, it's just another like positive thing during a dark time.
I do wish the jiu-jitsu community was full of more guys like that, man. Like, I was thinking about it before when we were talking about social media. And I don't want to change the subject too much, but like, I know a guy who runs a school and he teaches all different martial arts, and he came to jiu-jitsu last. So he's got like sort of a traditional martial arts background. And he doesn't let his students train anywhere else. And that's really anomalous in Connecticut. Usually all of us are. And I had lunch with him, and I was like, hey man, because we're friendly. And I said, what is the big reason that you don't let them train elsewhere? Everybody assumes it's like a business decision. And I think in part it is, but his first reply was, hey man, I don't think that the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community is a good community. And I was like, whoa, which was crazy to me because Jiu-Jitsu is my whole life. I only meet great people, yada, yada. But that thought has like haunted me. And like, when I think about it, like the kids in my class, like I wouldn't tell them to go look up maybe jiu-jitsu on Instagram, because they're going to come across guys who are saying like homeless guys should be like shot or whatever. Like, I don't know, whatever crazy thing that like King Ryan wasn't far off that said on Instagram that day. Like, and it's not just him, you know what I mean? Like people making a name for themselves WWE style. Like it's like trashing what was like, you know, not that the Gracies didn't have like sort of like, not that it wasn't rough and tumble back in the day, and it wasn't maybe, you know, but man, I wish I to his point, which I don't agree with, because like I only meet awesome people, because I only know awesome people and I meet their friends, and the community's been so great in my life and changed so many people's lives that I know. But he's someone who like came to this last, and in his mind he's like, it's not a martial art, like it's not like you want to show your kids what they're saying in the jiu-jitsu world. And I was like, I can't say you're wrong, you know, and that bugs me a lot.
Well, I mean, the solution to this, I would imagine, is to set an example in the opposite direction, which is exactly what you're doing, right? What I mean, everybody on this panel here, or in this meeting group is setting that positive example and changing that. I mean, because you can't control what other people do. You certainly control what you do.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I absolutely am a be the change guy. Like for sure, I do everything I can for.
Speaking of cross-training, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the comments here. Apparently, Kevin, a bunch of your guys and our guys have all decided, Aaron and George and Eric and Corey, and a bunch of people have decided that it is time for an open mat. So
yeah,
I guess we're all having an open mat together. They've made the decision for you, so, and you too, Jay. So congratulations. And a couple of really interesting comments here. Aaron says, next time I'm in PA, I'm going to make it over to train with Steve Austin again. You know, there's people are being inspired by what you said, Rich Saab, another veteran of the podcast, alumni of the podcast, said, one positive for me is the time off is letting my body heal up. There's a couple of questions here. One of them is when the schools reopen, how are you all going to be bring the students back like onto the mat with instruction after a break? Are you going to start with the basics again, or are you just going to like blast on? How do things like everybody coming back knowing the entire Danaher Death Squad system really badly? How does that all fit out? That was me. I threw that part in there. What do you guys think? How do you approach starting over again, sort of as educators?
That's a philosophical question. I think. I mean, we'll go around the horn. You know, Steve, we'll go around the horn.
I was just saying, I had a couple students request like a week long of open mats just to kind of get it out of their system and rolling. One suggested like a 24-hour mat. I was like, you're going to have some kind of whole new virus created. I don't think.
Okay, I think all of us are agreeing that we should have a 24-hour mat.
Sounds so good.
If the science works.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
I don't know the science is going to work, but.
After 1,000 push-ups.
I don't know. It's tough because, like you said, we were saying, people are going to be gun shy, people are going to be nervous, but then you're going to have this other side of the group that are just like, I'm going to go balls to the wall that first 2 minutes, and it is what it is. It's a tough call, you know, on how to take this and what's even going to be allowed. You know, they're trying to make it like keep no handshakes even after the coronavirus is gone, and it's. What's that do for anybody that's a hands-on kind of industry, whether it's jiu-jitsu, massage therapists, physical trainers? How is this all going to play out? Are we going to have to wear some kind of form of mask? It's really strange times to be in this kind of industry right now.
We should.
Evan, what do you think?
Mexican wrestling masks.
Luchador mask with the, you know.
I still got mine. Yeah, from the Mexican.
There's a business plan there, right? Yeah, nice. Put the filter right in there.
Make it part of the gi somehow, you know.
You guys saw what Origin's doing, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, for the women's classes, what I plan on doing is, yes, I plan on doing, you know, just a quick run through of the basics for the first few weeks. Side control, mount, you know, and then when we get to rolling, we used to do 30 minutes of rolling at the end of every class. Well, what I'd like to do is build up to the 30 minutes. So I don't want the girls training right off the bat for a whole half an hour. I'd like to maybe do like 10-minute rolls the first day, two 5-minute rolls the first day. So we have classes 3 days a week. Then on Wednesday, we'll go up to 15. Slowly build the girls up. We don't have to go crazy. And I don't want anyone getting hurt because, my class is the largest class I think I've had in the last year and a half since I started the classes. I think we've had 10 to 12 girls. So we don't have high numbers. So if we have one of the girls hurt, that's going to make our numbers suffer worse.
So let me tell you what Jay Mansfield is going to say. What he's going to do. And then what's going to happen is he's going to text me on Thursday and be like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? And I'll be like, I don't know, Jay. Just want to roll. He'll be like, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. And then I'll see a post on Facebook. It'll say, bring water.
And that means 90 minutes of rolls. Amanda, that's amazing. And I think, you're doing really important things for women's jiu-jitsu. Don't worry about the class sizes. Like, you know what I mean? It's never going to be, I hope that it does, we get a lot more women involved in jiu-jitsu, but for obvious reasons, it's very hands-on. General classes involve men and women together training. It's hard because, you know what I mean? If I train with you, you're literally half my weight. You know what I mean? So it's easy for you to get hurt. You know what I mean? It's easy for most women. They're smaller, you know what I mean? And their barrier to entry for jiu-jitsu is that the concept for them is that they say, I don't want to wrestle around with a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? It's an awkward scenario for a lot of people. But what you're doing is, and so many women have trained in your classes, and they come to the general levels classes now. They're mixed in with those folks. So I think what you're doing is so important to show women how important jiu-jitsu is, and show them slowly how if they're not ready to jump into the all levels classes, you know what I mean, how to integrate themselves into jiu-jitsu and fall in love with jiu-jitsu and say, hey, this is okay. I'm ready to do this. I trust my training partners.
So it totally bridges the gap. But I think a lot of the reason why women don't train in the regular classes is because it's a complete foreign language. So a lot of the girls who come in, they probably haven't played many sports. So when the coach for football, he has his sheet of papers, it says go do this move and that move. All the moves have a name or a code, and then you follow the steps. Same with basketball. So the guys have always been drilled into their heads. So you do this move, then that move, and then each little thing has its own name. So girls don't have that. Softball, the sports girls they don't have that. So they have to learn a foreign language first. Then once they get to figuring out the names of the positions, it gets easier for them. So it's a foreign language from the beginning, and I think that's the hurdle that I actually bridge the gap on, even more than they don't want to roll with sweaty guys, because it's not that. It's just completely something they've never done before. They've probably never even done sports before.
I don't bring them along slowly, right? Kevin, what about you? What are you going to do when you get back?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I usually split my mats, drill side, kill side. So I'll probably do a little bit more of that. If you want to drill and practice some of the basics, which we always do, and a lot of the fundamentals, whether it be guard passing, sweeps, submissions, escapes. And then if you want to kill each other on the other side, set the timer, and let people go easy, try to control it as much as I can, obviously, not let anybody get injured or come back too hard. But just go about it kind of slow, I guess.
The basics thing seems to be a theme throughout, all of us as we're talking. If you're, at really any level of jiu-jitsu and you're listening to this, and I know every instructor you've ever had has said, focus on the basics, focus on the basics, focus on the basics. But this is an opportune time to go back and really, really structurally attack those items. I will tell you that there were 2 chokes that basically never worked for me when I was coming up. One is the Bravo, one is the X choke. You know what I mean? I always said, like, oh, we're all, get this in here, right? Like, we should be able to choke, right? But fundamentally, as we drill it, it works, right? And we're able to choke people, but it's a very difficult choke to apply correctly and to catch on a skilled opponent, right? And as a brown belt and a black belt, I've started to really focus my time on that X choke, and now it works a lot, and it sets up a lot of amazing things, and it's led me to look back at what other people are doing. Let's take the Meows as example. Everyone thinks about the Meows as these berimbolo experts and it's like really tricky jiu-jitsu one-dimensional guys, but think of what they're doing. These guys are practicing techniques that lead them to the back. Why? Because once they get to the back, no one ever escapes, and they get the choke every single time. And they're not choking with flamboyant, weird stuff. They are catching traditional chokes from the back. And that is basics of jiu-jitsu. Get on the back, and you are done. I'm never taking a step backwards. Once I get on your back, you are done. And that's something that the shiny new toy of jiu-jitsu tends to like younger people, blue belts and purple belts especially, they want to chase those really, really fancy moves, and they don't understand what these techniques are really designed to do, which is to drive to set up those basics to finish. They're all literally venues to drive towards the basics. You know what I mean? And like the Bravo choke is the same. Like, you may consider the Bravo choke maybe a basic or not a basic. I feel like it's a fairly basic choke. And, I spent some time with Brian on this, Brian Marvin, and he's better than anybody I've ever seen at this choke in particular.
He's ridiculous with that choke.
He is ridiculous with that choke. And he's changed the game for me. And now my X choke here leads to an arm comes into the defend, I pull the elbow across, and I'm getting that choke all the time. All the time. And if I don't get the choke, it sets me up for something really nice to do that's a basic. And you know what I mean? And I think that focus on the basics, this is an opportunity for us all to kind of like really instill those basics with our students to make sure the shiny new toy doesn't interrupt their jiu-jitsu progression. Just my 2 cents.
I agree.
I think when I reintroduce, when the whole world gets reintroduced back into doing the normal thing, like, we've always had a good core of classes that are probably the more intermediate to advanced people, the comp people and whatnot. And those are normally my purples to blacks that'll come in and train, but we have a huge chunk of basics classes that I'm sure when things come back, those are going to be, just like you said, Jay, the most popular ones. And I feel like when things come back and we'll see how we can gauge the numbers in a class, that can probably dictate of how well training is going to start. At least, in an infant stage, it's going to be a lot of crawling for a little while, but who knows? And that, it makes me think of, like, Jesus, I wonder when competitions are going to open back up or how that's going to work. It's a whole other, the snowball just grows bigger as we get back to life. So.
There are a ton of people watching, certainly more than we've had in the past. So congratulations, George. You're doing a great job getting people to pay attention.
Hey, by the way, he's not that funny. To the earlier point, he's not that funny. Any comedian that has an Australian accent, that makes them more funny, right? George, everything he says is funny.
Well, if you guys are on and you're on YouTube, feel free to like our page. That would be pretty sweet.
Right.
All right. Well, I promise to do all the commercial stuff at the end there. Right? But there are people checking in from all over the country. How about the king of all white belts, Kyle Gosselin, says, so Jay isn't going to pull the usual light warm-up of 45 minutes of King of the Guard, meaning he knows exactly what you are going to do, which is exactly
what I'm going to do.
Is exactly what you're going to do. And our old friend Rachel Beach is showing up in the comments here. Rachel says a lot here, but cutting it all down, it looks like, how about she hates, she just hates Bryant. That's really what it is. She hates Bryant.
Wow.
No, that's not what she said. She said she hates his chokes, but yeah, she just says hi to you guys because we haven't.
Brian Marvin's jokes.
Yeah, she
Nobody
said
likes
that She said that over 12 years of training, love training with men. I'll purposely train with larger individuals, so you can't just stereotype the girls there. Aaron says, Jay, the details you gave me on the X stroke changed the game for me. George is going on. George Hanley's going on about the open mat. They're working this all out. We've got everything's all set up, Kevin. So you're all set.
We'll make it happen.
Gary, he just says, I challenge your mohawk, whatever that means. I think he's going to get his own. We all know that Gary can only grow hair that's about this long anyway, so I don't think it's a possible win no matter what there. So there you go.
Here's what everybody needs to just come with us, because 3 of us go to Puerto Escondido every year in Mexico. You guys all need to just jump into BJJ in Paradise and come train with us in Mexico.
You could also come to Portsmouth too, or Dover. That would be a possibility.
Portsmouth is cool, but Mexico's cooler.
Connecticut.
That is a jiu-jitsu pilgrimage, right? So, we're talking about what we do when we all get back. This trip got moved to August, and for everyone on this podcast, especially because you guys are super high level jiu-jitsu guys, and a bunch of us are already involved with this group. Contact Brad Wolfson, you know what I mean? We go there, it's, Marcio Stambowski, it's Croyler Gracie, it's the legend Jay Mansfield teaching a class. It's so amazing. No, it's less about that as much as it is to being with the community in a great place, doing other things with your jiu-jitsu friends. Let's go surfing. Let's have a margarita at the top of a mountain. Let's go zip lining. Let's train. Let's go tackle the waves. You know what I mean? Let's go do all this stuff. Let's go out, find the acai spots and Puerto Escondido, cricket tacos. You know what I mean? That stuff is what everyone that is the dream right now for everybody that can't train. Is let's go train a bunch of jiu-jitsu and just hang out with folks like that. It's going to happen in August. It was supposed to happen in April. We're not able to do it. Go look up, man. Let's go do this. Let's go have fun. Let's go to Mexico. Let's train hard, drink margaritas, do some surfing, hang out on the beach, zip line, eat acai. Let's do that.
Sounds pretty good.
I think there's an October one too.
Well, that's the best part about the camps. You meet a lot of great people. It doesn't matter where the location's at. Sometimes you get to travel, and it's a safe group of people to travel with, and you just have a great time. The Connecticut camp, I love that camp, or the New Hampshire. That's where it was this year. Which one was it?
Maine is that the one?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the campground that it's at. It's set up like a kid campground. I never went to summer camp as a kid, so it's you're bunking with a group of people. Everybody's got their own little area. It was adult summer camp. It was great, man.
Yeah.
You're meeting people, training, having a lot of fun.
Steve, you do some camps on your own, right?
Yeah, I do stuff for my school. Yeah, but anybody can come. But it's just it's something you said. It's a chance for people to travel that normally are afraid to. And it's just, you get to hang out and do normal, all kinds of cool shit with people that are your family, Yeah.
You know what that makes me think of? Black Belts for Butterflies. Rich McKeegan runs this amazing organization for, kids that have some disabilities, but it's also born out of a much greater concept, and
what is that called?
Been heavily involved in it, and that experience was maybe one of the most inspirational experiences of my jiu-jitsu career is meeting with all these people that, again, the same thing that I was just talking about, getting together for something using jiu-jitsu as a venue to really target something else.
Steve, it's called Black Belts for Butterflies.
And you said that they deal with kids with disabilities and things like that?
It's primarily focused on kids on the spectrum with autism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been with Rich now for 5 years, and it's definitely, like Jay said, one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done, and I do it every year. I've even hosted it at my school, and the turnouts that you get and the amount of support that you get to use this vehicle of jiu-jitsu for something greater, it's pretty amazing.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
That one I feel like is life changing. Like every time I go to that, I'm like crying. It's like
Yeah, but George, you cried at Frozen 2.
Whatever, man. It's a powerful movie.
I'll cry at like Land Before Time 7, the trailer or whatever. So I can't really.
All right, so let me. This is a good segue into. Let me tell you guys what we've been doing in our quarantine. I've showed Andrea Kickboxer. We've watched Bloodsport.
How old is she?
8.
8. Well, that's totally fine.
Hey, just gotta keep voting. It's all good.
When a bad word comes around, we go beep. We bleep it out. It's so ridiculous.
She's seen some Jackie Chan.
Okay, that's cool. Right.
Yeah, dude, all the big ones.
I guess we got to go there, George.
All right.
Introduce the question. Let's go around the horn.
So listen, So we've been talking about this. We talked this about a lot, and I get them all messed up. But like, Hero is probably my favorite martial arts movie. I think, man. I mean, that's in Big Trouble in Little China, in Avatar, and
Good one.
and all. But like,
My favorite one.
so what? Greg Wood, what's the best martial arts movie of all time, or your favorite?
You made Greg go first, so everyone else is now have a chance to think, right?
I was like, man, I can't wait to not go.
I'm just wasting some time so he has a chance to think of something. That's all.
I'll tell you.
Poor guy.
I don't know if any of you guys know Daniel Bertina, but Daniel Bertina told me, he's like, "Oh, American Shaolin, you got to see this movie." And so we looked it up on YouTube, man. It was horrible.
Who said Bull Durham?
Durham.
Somebody said, like, what's your favorite martial arts movie of all time? And someone was like, well, Bull Durham was a good one. I'm like, stop smoking crack.
I think that was John Anik. I think he couldn't hear the question.
It was John Anik, yeah. That's what I'm saying, John. John, if you're watching, I'm not suggesting that you smoke crack.
I think that's exactly what you're suggesting, that he smokes crack, Jay. That's what you said. So.
You know what movie I really like? I like Mortal Kombat. I don't know why. I always have liked that.
To defend you, Christopher Lambert as Raiden was awesome.
Thanks.
You are really digging to find a positive there, Jay.
Hey, all I'm going to tell you, Riddler, is I am going to kick your fucking ass.
Man, it was going to happen anyway, man. So, hey, I'm just enjoying life while I can, okay?
Hey, I think all of you guys are missing probably the most inspirational martial arts movie from the 80s. The Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi taught us everything, you guys.
Yes.
Last Dragon.
The Last Dragon.
I'll come up with Last Dragon. I'll play with the Last Dragon. Absolutely. Daryl from the internet says Foot Fist Way. I'm not sure if.
Oh man.
Fist Foot Way.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, maybe not the best one ever, but
It's a good movie.
Hey, I think Drunken Master 2 was like a real big one for me. That was a good and funny and amazing movie. That's a Jackie Chan.
Is that Jackie Chan also?
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was Jeff Shaw brought that one up last yeah. There was another one that somebody said that I looked up, and it was like, I was like, man, I don't know, this is horrible.
See, my wrestling side has to side with Vision Quest. I gotta say,
oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
Good movie.
Yeah, we had to decide, does that qualify? Because if it does, Jay, obviously that's up there for you too, right?
Obviously, Matthew Modine is probably his best performance ever. Vision Quest is amazing.
I mean, everybody I know is going to cut some weight, and wrestle shoot, right? So,
Right.
Steve Austin, man, what's your vote?
As a kid, it was like Kickboxer and things like that. But I'm a big fan of the John Wick series.
Yeah.
I mean, who can argue with that?
He broke the mold now.
You know what's funny? My wife can't watch. If you go back to John Wick 1, we have to start like 35 minutes in after the. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. That's the only way you can watch the movie.
It's a fact.
You can't. That's like watching the movie Up. you can't watch the movie Up. You have to like watch the end of the movie Up because you can't watch it.
And every dog owner in history can relate to that.
Yeah, just start 30. Skip the beginning. The internet's Corey. Obviously, we knew Corey was going to come in with Enter the Dragon. I mean, come on, that one. That's sort of like that one's pushed to the Hall of Fame.
Quick comment on Enter the Dragon before you move on. Check out the first scene with Bruce Lee in his training. He does a kip up. He actually avoids a leg kick, throwing himself back onto the back of his neck and kips back up. And one of the most amazing physical moves I've ever seen in my life.
Down and back, right?
Isn't Dana White trying to start Hans Island all over again?
Yeah,
it sounds like it. It sounds like he's successful. He's not trying.
Yeah.
Rich Saab says anything but red belt is his choice. I never saw that, so
terrible, awful.
There's another important
one.
one.
Excited for the Nicolas Cage Jiu-Jitsu movie, right?
So Kevin, you've been quiet, man. What's your favorite martial arts movie?
He said The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, you said The Last Dragon. That's right.
Nice. Any Jackie Chan movie. My daughter just pointed out we have the Drunken Master 1 and 2 over there.
Yeah.
Nice. What's her name? Hey, have her poke her face back in and say hi. Introduce her.
Uncle Jay.
This is Kaya Watson. It's my little ninja.
Hey. Kaya, the world, Kaya.
So there's a good movie with Jackie Chan. It's kind of recent, and it's got Jet Li in it. It's like The Forbidden Kingdom.
Yep, that one's awesome.
That was pretty good.
Hey, does Roadhouse count as a martial arts movie?
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's a big one.
Oh, man.
That's
Classic.
a big one.
Kyle,
Who's the guy that plays, was it not Virgil? Sam.
Dalton, right? Or is it, no,
Dalton's friend.
Right.
Sam.
Oh, Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Yeah, with the mustache.
Dude, his character in that movie is amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
Joe Lozon's favorite was The Three Ninjas, and I was like, is that the one with Chris Farley?
Oh no, that was like,
everybody, come on.
oh, man.
I've seen Three Ninjas a ton, but Joe's probably the last person I'm going to be like, man, your movie taste sucks.
Then there's Best of the Best.
There you go.
Oh, what a great one. What a great one.
Ninja. There you go.
I don't know.
By the way, if you guys ever watch Kickboxer 4, not the best movie of all time, but you get to, I think it was Higan Machado that was in that. He has a cameo as one of the fighters in that movie. It was pretty impressive. Some flying arm bars and some really cool stuff.
We got to get more. We got to get more people to see the Raid Redemption, man. That was just a monster. It's such a small film. Most people haven't seen it. Talk about like choreographed violence. That's like easily my favorite.
Brad Wilson brought up Brazilian Brawl. I still haven't found that one yet.
I haven't seen it.
That is awful. I remember before Blockbuster closed, I was able to actually find it in there. And
what was that, like 1995?
Yeah, this was before I like really was like involved with jiu-jitsu. And it was weird to see it. And then I remember like, oh, all right, what's this? You know, a few years later, I was like, oh, shit, I remember seeing this movie. And glad I didn't go based upon the movie.
Did you guys see the Kingsman? Speaking of choreographed violence, did you see the Kingsman?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was good.
That church scene is the most, was at the time was the most, like, my jaw hit the floor for like 10, 15 minutes. It was amazing.
Manners make the man.
Amazing.
Kill Bill's a martial arts movie, right? I mean,
No question.
Yeah.
What about a documentary, like one that's close to all? Do documentaries count?
Joke? You talking about?
Joke.
Joke was good.
Even though I mean, I feel like it's your classic Gracie film that's like completely one-sided in the way that they put it together, but it is pretty impressive. Like Steve, the point we were talking about earlier, like jiu-jitsu deployed in a full martial context. That movie was awesome. And obviously, like Hickson's a god amongst, he is. If there was a godfather of jiu-jitsu, it's him. That was pretty killer.
What's that Robert Drysdale documentary he's making right now?
I'm psyched to see that for sure. Like it's like
I've been
kind of
following
the other side
for that. It looks kind of cool.
People on the internet are chiming in. Kyle's got Ong Bak.
Another good one.
Corey makes the point that Hickson Gracie was in the opening of the Hulk with Edward Norton.
Doing his breathing.
It's the Hulk.
Gary pointed out that those fights were canceled, so Dana failed, so there's no island anymore. There you go. We're caught up.
I mean, the most recent information I have, Gary, is that he's setting up the infrastructure. Yes, that original card, I think it was the Tony Ferguson and Khabib fight is not going to happen, but mostly because Khabib is trapped in Russia. I think that they're setting up to have a card on this island. The infrastructure is there. He's got a tentative card ready to go, unless there's something new that's come out over the last 12 hours. Like they're aiming to get something done.
Yeah, I know one of my students works at ESPN because we're like 5 minutes down the road, and they're prepping for a card. There's going to be a card.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
Gary says openly, "You are mistaken," and that's the end of that. So there you go.
We'll see.
I mean, because they announced that that ESPN and Disney said no, right? So has something changed?
For the usually Gary is wrong.
I mean, they're still going to build Fight Island. So ESPN made Dana stop all the cards, according to Gary. That's when it was announced, right? I mean, that ESPN and Disney said that's the end of that. So maybe something
listen,
changed
Fat
right
Gordon Ryan.
He's talking to Gary, everyone. So
look him up. Look him up. He looks like Fat Gordon Ryan.
Ryan, different Ryan says Jim Kata is hands down the greatest martial arts movie and is getting likes in the shape of hearts. People love the Jim Kata. Are you guys even old enough to know that movie?
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was terrible.
It was awful, though.
I mean, that's my era. That's Gleaming the Cube era, baby.
Oh, I love that movie, too.
There you go. Brian,
I love Gleaming the Cube. What about Rad, Brian?
Oh, man. Rad rules.
Gleaming the Cube.
Or is Crew Jones.
You know what movies I really liked? I like the ones that Chris Howder did. Did you guys ever get to see those? Those were really good.
Like those documentaries, Roll and Jiu-Jitsu versus World.
Yeah, those were good too.
Those were good.
Yeah, my vote for documentaries is Jiu-Jitsu versus the World. It's got my all of our good friend Philly Pete just showing how you do this in the real world the right way. Unstoppable. Can't argue. Camera's right on him for the wrong reason, and you made it the right reason. Jiu-Jitsu versus the World. What a great movie.
Right. That's an awesome one.
But you can't really compare that with Jim Kata, so, you know.
There's a pretty cool documentary of, did you guys see, I always mention this and no one's seen it, that Tony Pasensky did. You know Tony Pasensky, Steve?
Yeah, I did. I saw some of it. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, me too. He did something where he worked on curriculum with Hickson for like a month or two, leading up to the release of the JJGF, and then he did a documentary talking about his time with Hickson. It wasn't shot with Hickson, but he talks about it, and I liked the documentary. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting a chance to finish it, but I got halfway through.
Have you guys watched Daisy Fresh?
Which one?
Daisy Fresh.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
God, those guys are animals.
That's not just a deodorant or something? Is that a Tortuga soap?
Jesus. Like, Brian, we're just here to get stepped on, I guess. I'm sure you're all. It was kind of like a joint production on him, focusing on this academy. Man, they have nothing. Heath
Pedigo has made probably one of the best teams in the country, and these guys really train like on the below bare minimums, but they win everything.
I take it back.
These guys have so when the academy closes, there's no heat. These guys go to 7-Eleven and buy like microwave meals, and they come back and they're training in ice cold. They're like, hey, once we're warm, we're fine. But they're training in the Midwest, Middle America. I think it's Illinois somewhere. And these guys. They train all night. They train all day and all night. They live on the mats. They sleep on the mats. They have no home. All they do is train jiu-jitsu. Like, they find food. And this guy is amazing. He opens his academy. These people that really want to train. He's got a day job, so he's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a big money-making academy, but sometimes the best ones aren't. You know what I mean? And it's just a story of these guys that are just animals for jiu-jitsu, and all they want to do is train. That's all they care about is training, and now they're lighting up the scene.
It's a movie?
Yeah, it's called Daisy Fresh. You can. I'm not sure the best venue for seeing it, Brian. Do you know? Can you find it on YouTube?
If you go on the Show Your Roll Facebook page, you'll see the links to it all.
I think it's on Flow Grappling, right?
Yeah, it should be on there as well.
There's a bunch of stuff going on in the comments here. UFC Fight Island, I actually have it here. I'm not going to try to share screen right now because I don't know what happens when I do that. We should test it before. But in short, the UFC Fight Island's being built right now, says Dana White. Will be ready within a month. It was originally set for the Tachi Palace, which is on the on a reservation. But he said that, a month from there, I can ship guys over there early. They can start training over there on the island. And I'm telling all the guys not to worry because Fight Island is going to happen. This is right from Dana White today. So
Gary, I guess you can crawl into a hole or whatever, have another cheeseburger. You have to know my relationship with this guy in order to appreciate. I'm not just being mean to him, but
you are. But Gary is the type of person that lives for this. So
speaking of which, check out the News of Our Demise podcast. You'll see this guy saying the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah,
ever heard.
News of Our Demise podcast. Just look it on newsofourdemise.com. It says sort of like if you took Weekend Update from Saturday Night Live and combined it with pretty much the grossest comedians that you could possibly think of.
Right, like at one point they had a chicken McNugget eating contest, which was one of the more disgusting things I've heard.
Yeah, they go way,
also like a strange
deeper.
Riddler. Do you remember what were the sodas they drank?
I'm sorry, one more time?
There was some crazy soda flavors. It was like jam soda.
Yeah, the farm sodas. Yeah, buffalo chicken soda. That was a good one. Yeah, and they had the ranch dressing soda to go with it. But yeah, you're not really scratching the surface of how disgusting this podcast is. It's hilarious. If you grew up listening to Frank Zappa and all that kind of stuff, this is where you want to be, Gary. I'm just saying things that are piss Gary off right now because he hates Frank Zappa. But yeah, Gary and Kyle are going deep about how they miss Kyle misses your sessions with you guys on Sunday morning, and it's on Show Your Roll's YouTube page. If you're a YouTuber, just go to Show Your Roll and you can see Daisy Fresh Jiu-Jitsu on there. Gary points out that he's making the Fight Island, but there are no fights planned so far. So he's staying tight. Corey said his favorite. Corey's favorite.
They just mobilized their ESPN crew to do a fight, to do a card.
Corey's favorite News of Our Demise episode was cat tuna fish versus regular tuna fish, and they all liked the cat tuna fish better, despite not knowing. And Gary said that it tasted like whale jizz. So that should give you an idea of where we're going with this. Not safe for work, not safe for home, not really safe for anybody. But feel free to go to Gary's podcast. They actually have a lot of listeners, so congratulations.
I don't even want to know how that tastes.
Because Gary's disgusting.
Great point. How do you know what whale jizz tastes like?
Gary is disgusting.
So thank you, Gary, for destroying the integrity of this podcast, too, just by living.
You got Greg Wood up here talking about trying to make jiu-jitsu respectable, and then now look at where you got gone.
You're talking about whale jizz. Nice job.
Here we are.
You've gone.
Tune out. All the PMA kids, tune out. Quick.
Put a new hashtag on this one.
I got a question.
Brian,
yeah.
Brian, I've seen a couple like weird bikes you're putting together. Like, what are you working on in the garage right now?
I just got my Haro 29-inch BMX done. Before that, I did a GT, and like, yeah, you know, these are things that I've been doing since I was a kid, man. Literally with my brother, and you know, it's just a hobby aside from car building, trucks, and stuff like that. Riding BMX bikes and riding bikes is my thing. Like my cousin and I, we did a 5-mile mountain bike ride up some hills, so that was fun. But anything with the bike, I'm on it. So,
dude, that was a GT Performer, right?
Yeah.
That was cool. Like, I think I might have replied to one of your posts. Like, my bike when I was growing up was a Haro FSX.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting it, and I was like, man, this bike is so rad. And obviously, like, you eventually trash it, like, because you wipe out a ton, you know what I mean? But I think that was probably my favorite bike growing up. You're also, like, you had some pretty sick cars, right? And you got in a pretty significant accident back when?
Yeah, you know, I'm it's funny because I'm always doing something, like, between, again, bikes and cars. It's always something. Like right now, my Toyota FJ Cruiser, it's like jacked up, lifted, and it's my other project. So, you know, always something.
Dude, what was that when we went to Black Belts for Butterflies? Was it yours or James's? It was a rental. It was like a sick Challenger?
Yeah. James has one. He has one at home. So he loves fast cars. We're both fast car guys too. So it's like I think car building is probably the most expensive hobby you could have.
It's brutal. It's brutal. Like, talk to my wife. Like,
what do you?
I get like an annual budget.
That's awesome. So let me ask you guys this, going on a different subject, since the Flow podcast talks about it quite a bit. Who's number one? From a fan's perspective,
all time.
Let's go around. No, like
get a little
competitor. I know my all time, but current competitor, gi and no gi. So, Kevin, who's your number one in the gi right now? Who's your number one no gi?
My favorite in the gi right now, I love Keenan Cornelius because he's technically just amazing, and Buchetta. I love Buchetta a lot. Nogi, I like Josh Henger. I like his style of Nogi.
Are you talking about current competitors or?
Yeah, current competitors.
Yeah, that's about it. There's so many that I like. I admire competitors, the people that actually get out there and can still do it. I haven't competed in a while because of my surgeries, but hopefully soon again.
Steve, who do you got?
I haven't been following too many like gi competitors lately. Just because no gi's been the main thing on the mainstream. I'm a fan of Craig Jones. I like how he does jiu-jitsu, talks a little shit, but not too much. You know, like Gordon's got a good game. I'm not a fan of him personally, I guess. You know, but yeah, I'm digging Craig.
Jay.
I think Nogi, like, it's, you know, if you're looking at who's the best, there's no question that it's Gordon. Like, like, you can be, like, I think he's a good guy. You know what I mean? I think he knows how to market himself. He's kind of like a Chael Sonnen. If you take what it is on UFC, like, you know, like marketing film, like, you probably don't like the guy, but when you realize what he's trying to do, you know what I mean? Gordon's the best no-gi. Gi, I'm a huge Mikey Musumeci fan. I love what he's doing. He's a true warrior. He goes weight classes to challenge himself further. I think he's one of the greatest artists out there. I'm a huge fan of Nicholas Miragali. I think his intensity is something that we all aspire to, and he does some modern techniques, but Miragali does a lot of classic jiu-jitsu that's just really beautiful.
Yeah. What do you think, Laws?
What's that?
Oh man, Bia Mesquita for gi and Lachlan Giles. He's got some sick stuff. So he kind of is alongside with Craig Jones for me, but that's a really great stuff that I've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a thing, right, of like, because I've turned on some of these guys, like if you look at them as humans, which I'm more looking at now, I can't.
Oh, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah, but I have to, dude. I have to. I'm like, I look at the whole thing, and there's people that I have had to shut off because I can't stand them anymore. But for that reason, like I've grown to respect Keenan Cornelius a lot more recently because of what like he's. Lackland is the man right now. I feel like, right? Like he's one of the men for sure. Most of the guys I really like don't compete anymore. Like,
Yeah.
like Marcelo to me is always like will be the greatest of all time for me for on all levels of everything, you know. But that's me.
Greg, how about you?
Can't hear you, Jay. Can't hear you, Jay.
Oh, I was saying he is transcendent across gi, no gi, and weight classes.
Did you see Marcelo, by the way, was talking about coming back for ADCC?
I had no idea how young he was. I thought he was like 40. He's not even close. He's like he's younger. I had no idea.
So he's
Hey guys,
game.
sound off.
I'm calling him for no gi and gi.
Who's that?
Marcelo.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in the game. You just said
No, all time. If I'm gonna say all time, Roger's my favorite. Roger's my favorite all time.
You can't argue that.
Yeah, Roger in the gi. Marcelo no gi for me.
But even Roger Nogi, he won it all too. You know. But I don't know. I guess just being a competitor and looking how the game is now, I think Buchecha still has it in him in the gi. And I just don't think Ryan can be denied. Like these guys are just ridiculous, you know, of what they're doing.
That's right.
Who knows, you know? Who knows after this whole pandemic is over, some guy's going to come out of the woodwork and kill everybody.
Right.
Nicky Rod.
Hillbilly that trains like an animal every day is like, all right, now I'm going to step on the scene. I mean, it does happen, right? Like that's what we see. Someone will emerge. You know what I mean? I think someone, to your point, Brian, someone like Buchecha or Gordon, I think those guys are rare. I think those guys are really rare. That Hodger for sure, like he is, you know, in my opinion, if we're talking about like not active, he is.
Yeah.
Marcelo Garcia is right there for sure. Like you can, this is like a little bit comes to music. Like there's, it's like, right? Like, oh, this is who I think, this is who you think. And statistics kind of like are similar, you know what I mean? But those guys, the people we're seeing right now are super rare. Like some of these guys, like watching Gordon compete, you know, having watched Hodger compete, Buchecha, like we got to see Marcus Buchecha's entire career as black belts and watch him absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always loved Gary Tonon's style for sure too. Like Gary Tonon's one of my favorite rappers.
The wars of Kron, man, those were crazy.
Even the most recent, he's had a mate. I mean, when he, you know, he's.
How about him and Paul Harris, right?
Right. I mean, that was.
Are you not entertained? You know, I mean,
match ever.
Yeah. I'll represent the old dudes here. I mean, whoever's actually going to win, I guess if that's the question, I mean, that's kind of, you're down to a small group, you know, Marigali and those guys. But I like watching Megaton. I like watching him because he's ancient as hell and out there killing it. For me, I really dig, I mean, whether he's going to win or not, I don't know, Josh Hinger, but I really like watching him. And I really like watching Thor, John Blank. You know, I don't know if he's going to be competing on the highest levels and stuff, but just watching guys like that is inspirational as hell for me.
You guys think we'll see Salo strap it on, step back on the mat again at some point?
Salo.
It's only been 2 years.
That's true. Didn't he win Masters Worlds, or what was it he won that last one? Pans? Something?
He won Pans, Master 3 and World's Master 3, and then stopped like it was 2 years ago. He won both.
Hey, Jay, are you in Saulo's division?
Yeah, so is Bryant. I had a
Saulo is my new favorite. Forget everything I said. I'm going with Saulo.
He and I had like an hour and a half discussion at PANS in 2019 about kind of this type of thing and about his mental approach towards his psychological attack on how he competes is probably more intense than any other competitor I've ever talked to. He talks about how he beats you before you even start, how he beats you in the first position, even if you get the advantage positionally, how he knows how to psychologically attack you.
You're like a samurai. Yeah.
It was pretty intense.
Have you rolled with him, Jay?
I have not.
I rolled with him when I went to Jiu-Jitsu University a few times, and I did feel psychologically abused.
I took a private with him as a white belt, and it was awesome. Like, blew my mind, made me love jiu-jitsu.
He caught me like 4 times. I was a brown belt at the time. He caught me like 4 times with a one-handed, just grabbing my collar, and one-handed paper cutter from side mount that I couldn't escape. And one of his students, I told one of his students that one time afterwards, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he likes that thing." Yeah. Couldn't turn in. Wanted to turn in. Could not turn in. Couldn't move. Died.
And probably, as a cross-training judo guy, probably the best Seanagi I've seen from a jiu-jitsu guy, that I can think of.
Yeah, but look at Megaton's Tomonagi out to the side, Yoko. I love that. He throws himself all the way out to the right, turns everybody around, and ends up on top. Love that.
You guys ever watch Hanato Kanuto fight? That is probably the most exciting guy on the team, period.
Sorry to interrupt, but in the list here, I'm watching everybody's favorite come down the list here. Gary Fawcett, Hanato Kanuto. There you go.
Yeah. He is. Sorry. I mean, you're talking about a guy that attacks relentlessly.
Yeah. Like all over, gi and no gi. He is like ridiculous. And he's a nice guy. I hung out with him when I was on Guam when we both did the Marianas Open, and he's a really cool dude. And, you get to know somebody on a personal level and you see them compete. You're like, wow, he's just putting himself out there.
Yep.
Now, let me say this, since we said, I say Marcelo is the greatest of all time. You said Roger. And, I'm not, Roger is right there with me, too. But, if you looked at the whole picture of, MMA and everything else, does Damian Maia has to be in the conversation, right?
Sure.
Sure.
One of the greatest displays of jiu-jitsu and MMA for sure, and obviously in jiu-jitsu the guy is a virtuoso. You know what I mean? I can't deny that. He doesn't have the resume jiu-jitsu wise that some of these other guys do, but obviously we've seen what he's capable of doing, and I think it's irrefutable.
I think he won a world title, though, at black belt, right? Or maybe
right, Hodges got 10.
No, I mean, I'm not saying but hasn't had the career in fighting, that – I mean, he did, but not like Damian Maia's had.
No, definitely not. No. As far as deploying the skill in MMA, I don't think you can – Hickson would be the one.
I like what Lovato has done this past couple of years.
Yeah, man.
Lovato's he's gone obviously to the highest level with the whole Bellator thing, and he's done awesome. And he did amazing in the gi, he did amazing no gi, and then now he's putting it to work. And I trained with Lovato, and that was one of the worst training sessions ever.
And he's another guy that fights at heavyweight in Master 3. That was a 40-plus-year-old guy dominating in MMA right now with amazing jiu-jitsu. I would be excited. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's a super tough guy, but you see him in a division. In any given, I hate to heavyweight is what I know, right? So but you and I could sign up for PANS next year, or Worlds this summer, and it could be Lovato and Saulo in your weight class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are legends.
Man, they should be afraid of you guys. That's how this works.
I think they are. That's why they're not signing up.
That's how this works,
I've been beat up by Jay way more times than I've been beat up by Saulo.
You make a really good point. So I think using jiu-jitsu math, Jay is better. Gary did want to point out that his point was he wanted to see Hanato Kanuta against versus Gary Tonin at ADC. That's what he was trying to say here.
That would be incredible.
Sorry,
I mean, that's
Gary.
that would be insane.
And even though I said, like, I just throw the Damian Maia thing out there, I think Ryan Hall's got the best jiu-jitsu in MMA, though.
That's what I want to see. I want to see Ryan and
Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be it. Two different promotions, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for now, anyway. But like you think about that. You think about display of jiu-jitsu and MMA. You know, he submitted BJ Penn, and whether I don't care when it is in your career, you submit BJ Penn, you have my respect. He has some of the best jiu-jitsu for MMA. He's actually crossing lines as far as what we typically see as sport techniques being done in the cage, and I think it's super impressive. Obviously he's on another level. I can't wait to see what he does. He doesn't have the record to kind of draw some of the the top tenors, but as we talked to John about, he's getting attention. There's some top 10 guys that now want to fight him, and I think what you're going to see is that everyone will have the same difficulties as all his other opponents have, in that he's just so dominant in the grappling realm that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with if you can't keep him on his feet.
One crazy thing about Ryan Hall is that he's been doing 50-50 for MMA. How crazy is that? That's insane. It's good too. I practiced it a bit.
So it would be interesting to see him and Gary Tonin, like two guys that are into the whole leg lock battle and MMA, to see how they would fare against one another.
Right. Probably the best match ever for us jiu-jitsu guys to watch, and the worst match for your redneck UFC fan.
Probably.
I don't know.
Put my daughter to bed. I really appreciate you guys making me part of this. And I look forward to meeting each one of you guys personally. And thank you, George, for setting this up. Thank you.
It's great to have you.
Kevin, open mat once this thing is over. The students want it, so we'll make it happen.
Absolutely, brother. I can't wait. You guys be healthy, please.
You too.
You as well.
Yeah.
Kyle from the internet. Kyle also wanted to throw Verdum into the mix for BJJ and MMA. He submitted Kane with a triangle in the third round. He also said he's three-time world champion and two-time ADCC champ. So despite the fact that he keeps making that silly face, which kind of turns me off, I can't get it in between there. So there you go.
Have you guys seen his triangle instructional? He there's this outtake of his triangle instructional where he puts out his uke. Like he's like showing, and he's like, he kind of makes the cross, and he hasn't pulled out, like the arm's not even across yet. He's like, and here's when like we can start to adjust the position, and he kind of goes, oh. You can find it on YouTube. It's great.
Hey, you know who's not at the top, but who is endlessly entertaining to me, especially now. I don't love the everything everything, but is Jeff Glover.
Oh yeah.
When he puts out those videos of just like him rolling with his students, it's just one after the other creative entry, and I'm always just like, oh, that's amazing.
He's
I love that dude.
Yeah.
You know what videos I like? The ones that Keenan Cornelius does, where he's like telling you what he's doing and what he's hunting for when he's rolling with his students.
Yeah.
Yep, I like Keenan. I think he's changing the game a little bit as far as sports jiu-jitsu is concerned. The way he's
been on a self-defense kick lately.
Yeah, you see him doing some knife defense stuff. Just today, there was a video out, to your point, Steve, of how he would handle himself against like a knifed attacker.
Yeah, that was interesting to watch.
I think that he gets some undue criticism, for what he's trying to do. Obviously, like the American Jiu-Jitsu thing is like his marketing, way of going about his new academy. But I think that his jiu-jitsu is great. He has every right to open an academy. I think he's got a lot to teach people. I think he's a super high-level competitor. I think he's very creative. And based on what I've seen, like everyone, like I've heard a lot of people say that he has this gigantic ego. I don't see that. I see him being like as a guy that's just trying to improve himself. And for people that are on that level, I think his ego's pretty well in check.
People who put themselves out like that and make a lot of money are going to end up pulling that no matter what. That's it. You know, anybody who's successful at what they do are going to pull that off the internet. The internet's full of people who will talk about stuff and not do it. And they see someone like that who's willing to engage. I mean, he's going to get shit no matter what.
He's a blast on Reddit and stuff. I like his persona.
Plus, isn't he BJJ Scout, right? I mean, that's like, that's
I don't
awesome.
think that ever came out who BJJ was.
I think it came out that it was
did it?
him. Yeah. What? And yeah, I mean, hey, we're on a podcast nobody's listening to, so I'm the one who's saying it. I think I read it. Maybe I read it wrong. Nobody else said it. I'll own that. But
I believe it if it was him, and I always heard that it was, but I didn't know that it was confirmed.
I think
Hey guys, don't mean to cut you off. I got dinner plans with my mom.
Yeah.
George, thank you everybody. Great to meet everybody.
Yeah, nice seeing you again.
Tell your mom I said hi.
I'll see you soon. Thank you guys. Steve, great meeting you as well, brother.
See you soon, brother. Great to talk to you.
Happy Easter to all. Everybody have a safe weekend and be safe, everybody. Take care, okay?
See you, buddy.
Guys, bye-bye.
Bye.
I know we're winding down here, but we have our buddy Kyle there is trained with most of these people. He's making comments on all these people as we go by. Like he's saying, no, Jay. I mean, he's agreeing with you, Jay, that Keenan is extremely humble in person. He can confirm because he trained at Victory. He said watching Jeff at Victory before he left was absolutely spectacular. And yeah, we're lucky to have people that we train with that are training with these people too. You know, it's jiu-jitsu around the world.
Yeah.
Who's this, Kyle?
Kyle used to train with us.
What's his last name?
Navy. What's that?
What's his last name?
Goslin.
Oh, okay. I wondered if I had seen him on Facebook. Sorry.
He used to train. He's in the Navy, and he trained with us for a few years. And we nicknamed him the King of the White Belts, dude.
Oh.
And he's a great human being. But
his wife's a great human being too because she made him a T-shirt that said "King of the White Belts."
I'll honestly tell you, like I don't, you know, I'm not going to pick anybody out in particular when it comes to students or things like that. Like I love all the people that we train with, but he's a guy that, you know, when he needed jiu-jitsu when he showed up, and I've never seen anybody dedicate himself so hard to the art. And I know that he loves us and he loves the Port City flag. And, you know, he was able, like we have the USS Constitution American flag flying in our academy, and it's because of him. And brother, we honor that every day, and we're looking forward to the day when you come back.
Seriously. He came in, the first time he ever came in, he brought his kid to kids class, and he was like talking about coming to train jiu-jitsu, and I was just like, dude, you just got to do it, you know? And it took him a while to get back, but then he came back like 6 months later or whatever, and then once he was in, he was in. He was in, and I did it 477 times.
Right. Talking like he started and he was in class, like he trained like 6 or 7 times a week, every week until he moved out to San Diego due to his obligations with the military.
But for every time I guillotined him, he took me down twice because he's a wrestler. Yeah, he'd get you with the takedown. So thank you guys for coming tonight. You guys that are left, my friends Greg Wood and Steve Austin, man. It's like jiu-jitsu has given me probably the thing that is most important that I really love is like friendships with you guys, right? Who I would have never met. I would have met Riddler, you know, but the rest of you guys I would have never met if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu. And so, like, yeah, I definitely miss, you know, rolling for sure. But the thing that I discovered that I missed the most was just being on the mats with you guys. Like, I really missed that part. So the first night we did this, I was like, man, that made me feel really good. So I really appreciate having you guys in my life for sure. You know, and I can't wait to see you guys. I saw Greg Wood pretty recently, but you know, whatever, right before Corona apocalypse.
Yeah, I came up to avoid to avoid getting punched in the face, which I said you could punch me in the face if I see you in Mexico and I haven't visited yet.
Turns out you didn't have to rush up.
No, and George was all excited about it. And turns out I didn't even have to put myself through that. Just kidding. No, that was a fantastic trip, man. I got to do it again. That was great. I got to do it when Jay is available.
Right, and hey, don't worry about it, man. Once we get like I've said, and I've professed this now publicly, it's all over the place now that, I'm going to come see those people that I keep on saying I'm going to come see, and PMA is high on the list.
Cool, man. I got an A1 gi here for you. Win anytime.
Nice. Could you go ahead and throw that in the dryer a couple times just so that it's shrink to fit?
We'll shrink it up.
And there's a great Mexican restaurant right next to Greg's place.
Yeah,
nice.
Really good.
Yeah.
Steve, I wanted to say you made a big impression on me when you came up the last time and we rolled, and you were protecting against the stack with your hands on the thighs, where you put your yeah, dude, I teach that to my girls all the time. I do that move all the time. That was a huge thing I took away from when you came up and trained with us that one time. Dude, that was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, growing up with I got back issues, so anytime I get stacked, it's very dangerous for me. Yeah. So that was it's actually interesting. Stembowski does something like that too, where he showed from he does it when he's in the triangle and somebody is trying to stack him, where he'll push the knee around the neck, and it's been super effective. But glad you enjoyed it.
And you know what? I added the shoulder walk into our drills.
Yeah, kind of creeping back.
Yeah. We'll do that down the mat. I don't do it every class, but I definitely
dance, right?
Yeah. Right? Good stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also want to thank you guys during this time. You know what I mean? We got to scratch the itch however we can. And I think, it can't happen on the mat, but the blessing is that we get to connect with you guys and talk and see how things are going and chit-chat about things. And that's the next best thing about jiu-jitsu aside from training is talking about it, right, in the community. And so I want to thank you guys for being open to talk and open to coming on and chit-chatting. Like, you know what I mean? It's never about the patch on the back of the gi, right? It's that we all love the same art. And through that, we've become friends. And so we hop on these things to connect with friends. And I just thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Glad to know all you guys.
Yeah,
it's interesting seeing how many people are being super creative with the training, drills that they can do on their own, and just everybody as black belts, we're problem solvers. Jiu-jitsu in general, that's what we're doing. We're problem solving, and everybody kind of trying to find these little things to do and share. Everybody's getting super creative with it. Kind of just like one of the positive things. And I don't know about you guys, but have any of you ever had to take any time off from jiu-jitsu for injuries, a long period of time?
I took 8 years off. I did. I got my purple belt, promptly took 7 or 8 years off, and then had to come back and get beaten up by all my former.
Yeah, and that's a big gap. A lot of people won't come back just because of how long it's been. And that's, big accomplishment there. But anybody who's had to take time off, I think the longest was 6 months for me because of an injury. And, being down this month sucks, but it's not the worst. And I've seen these kind of things before on my end personally. And it's just, the mental reps, the mental training, the conversations, jumping on a Zoom meeting with my students the other night. It was just great seeing faces and smiling faces and bullshitting, whether it was about jiu-jitsu or that fucking show Tiger King, Yeah. Same here. And it's nice having that connection, and I appreciate it as well, guys.
I I know that we're wrapping up, but Greg, that thing that to get to purple belt and quit for 8 years and come back and then your black belt and be the leader of your own academy and a super technical guy, that is probably what we see people fail at the most. And that's a super tough task, man. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Nice. It was definitely hard, but and it makes me think of a period like this. It might make it too easy for me to forget what a big deal a period like this is for my students. But I'm in there, and to your point, Steve, I think and for anybody watching to whom this might be useful, using your imagination and or just solo drilling stuff is like you can get better. You're doing jiu-jitsu when you do any of that. So like a lot of us are broadcasting classes to our students, right? And I just was saying today in my thing that there's like a story of a POW in Vietnam who's like, he liked playing golf. So like when he was in prison with nothing to do, he just like ran his home golf course in his head over and over and over, every slope, every tree, every whatever. And he came back after like 5 years in prison as a POW, and he went to play golf, and he was like 10 times better than he'd ever been because he just in his imagination the whole time. So I tell my students, hey, because I talk to them too, and I'm like, are you watching the classes? And they're like, I'm busy. It's tough because I have kids, And I'm like, hey, put it on and like listen to it and watch it and try to picture yourself in it as much as you can, because using your imagination is actually very powerful.
That's really great information, and I'm glad you said that. And I'm happy to know that it works, because basically every day of this entire pandemic, I've been imagining beating the shit out of Jay. So it's great to hear that it's going to work, because I just thought I was imagining it, but
it's not going to work.
You can imagine it can be real.
If you feel it, it is no dream.
Right.
All right, you guys. I promise to let's do it again. We'll do this again. I'm gonna hopefully we'll be back on the mat, and I'll be visiting you soon. And I'll be dragging Jay's ass with me. Mm-hmm. But
willingly.
Right? Stay healthy, friends. Be good.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for everything, boys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it.
Everyone.
Take care. Good to see you.
Peace.